Hello, bonjour. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Today we're going to go over everything you need to know for Sunday's slate when it comes to the NFL Divisional Round playoffs. You got two games. It's going to be a banger. You got the Bengals versus Bills. You got the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Everything you need to know for DFS sakes, we got you right here. But first things first, let's talk about our proud partners and sponsors, the very kind folks at OwnersBox. All right. Sign up today using code BIGDFS on OwnersBox. Get up to $500 matched with your initial deposit. OwnersBox is the #1 DFS app in Ontario and worldwide. Just a heads up. All deposits and withdrawals are converted automatically to US dollars. So keep that in mind when you're making your deposits. And also on the YouTube channel, I also have a video up on how to use OwnersBox and how to win on OwnersBox. So you guys have come to the right place. Let's get the show on the road. This game, it needs no introduction. We got some unfinished business. Let's get right to it. Bengals coming into Buffalo, 3 p.m. Kickoff Sunday. Let's do this. Let's talk about the quarterbacks, all right? You got $7,400 Josh Allen. He deserves the money. Obviously, the salary is what it is. Like, you can't really dispute it, but he definitely is deserving of that salary. Both of these defenses relatively are good. The Bengals defense started off atrocious, ended up really solid, whereas the Bills defense started off very solid and ended up relatively atrocious. In terms of passing yardage, efficiency, and whatnot, both of these guys are right in line as, they're the same guy. They both are tied for most passing touchdowns on the season. I think where you're going to get an advantage picking one or the other is, one, who's going to take care of the football, two, who's going to run the football a little bit more. And since the pass rush for the Bengals isn't super ideal, I'm going to give the advantage to Josh Allen, and I hate saying this because I'm pro Bengals. It doesn't mean that I'm saying that, the Bills are going to win. I'm just saying that I really favor the more expensive guy here, but may lead to not paying up in this next position. So here's the thing. This is the most important matchup on the entire Sunday slate. And it's simply for the matter that the way you go about filling in this position will either make or break your lineup with both games combined. And I know that doesn't really make sense, but I'll make it make sense right now for you guys, all right? So you got this RB matchup. On paper, Joe Mixon, probably the best player, but in terms of value, he is not the guy you want to go with. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a good day. I'm actually projecting him for over 70 yards and a touchdown. But what I'm saying is there's other value at other positions, and all of these guys are in line to have a great game. Both of these defenses are bottom 10 in rush yards allowed and allowing rushing touchdowns. So with that being said, you can't really go wrong with either one of these guys. Obviously, on paper, $6,500 is great. But if I'm filling out my lineup today, which I am, I'm going with James Cook and Samaje Perine, saving money here, getting myself a Josh Allen, and I'm definitely paying up for this next guy. So when researching these slates for DFS in whatever sport that I'm researching and trying to provide information and compete in, I always try to look for a discrepancy and a matchup that you could find a really good advantage. This matchup right here has the best advantage in this game, at least, and that comes in the form of the wide receiver matchup. Coming into this matchup, if you're just talking about fantasy points allowed, the Buffalo Bills defense is ranked the 7th worst. That means that receivers pop off against the Bills defense. And on the other end, the Cincinnati Bengals defense is the 7th best against the wide receiver position. So if you wanted to pay up and you had no idea who you wanted to pick between, if it's Jamar Chase at $7,300 or $7,100 Stephon Diggs, go with Chase. And we're going to say the same thing about the pivot. If you want to pick between T. Higgins or Gabe Davis, I would say T. Higgins. If you want to pick between Tyler Boyd and Isaiah McKenzie, don't pick either. Both guys suck. Don't worry about it. When it comes to the tight end position, the discrepancy actually flips significantly. The Buffalo Bills defense is actually the best team when it comes to defending the tight end position. So Hayden Hurst, fade him. Don't even think about it. Dawson Knox definitely has a better matchup. The Bengals defense is ranked 16th against the tight end position. We saw tight ends have some pretty good success. Either way, I don't love either one of these guys, but if I had to pick between the two, it'd be Dawson Knox. But I don't want to pick between these two, so I'm not going to pick between these two. I think the guys in the later game are definitely the tight ends that I want to be playing because these guys don't have a great matchup. And speaking of other guys who don't have great matchups, but you're trying to save some freaking money, let's talk about your low fee options, your tertiary options. I mean, any one of them can do something, but the likelihood of them doing something is very unlikely. So the likelihood of me putting them in my lineup is very unlikely. Let's get to the next game, all right? Oh no, we're talking about the last game on the slate and the last game of divisional round football. I can't believe football's almost over. Anyways, kicks off in San Francisco, 6 p.m. You got the Dallas Cowboys coming into San Fran. Let's just get right into it. QB battle. You got Dak Prescott facing off Mr. Productive himself, Brock Purdy. Now, the reason why I call him Mr. Productive is not because he's going out there and he's putting up godly numbers where he's throwing for 6 touchdowns and 700 yards. It's not it. It's the fact that he's able to keep this team going, keep the ball moving, and most importantly, take care of the football. When it comes down to it, both of these defenses are phenomenal. They are both top 5 in almost every aspect. They both take the ball away. They both rush the quarterback. It's going to be a defensive game. There's going to be interceptions. When I have to pick between both of these guys, I got to look at the price discrepancy, and it's not much. So who do I trust to take care of the ball more, and who has a better matchup in the secondary? I'm going to give the advantage to Brock Purdy. I know Dak Prescott could go off for 400 yards, throw 4 touchdowns. He's shown that time and time again. But in the biggest moments, Dak Prescott chokes. He doesn't take care of the football. This is going to come down to I don't want to lose points. I want to add points. So Brock Purdy is my guy. That's the guy who I'm rolling with between these two quarterbacks. And if I had to pair him with another quarterback as a super flex, that would be Josh Allen. Back to the whole concept where you want to find an advantage, pick apart a discrepancy in a matchup. This one has a very significant discrepancy. Now, though I said that the Cowboys defense is top 5, top 8, top 12 in a lot of the statistical categories, where they really suck is actually in the rush defense. They are ranked 22nd against the running back, just in fantasy points perspective. So Christian McCaffrey, though $7,500 is a significant asking point and makes him way better than any of the other guys on the other side, Pollard is always going to be a threat in the pass game, and Dak is always going to need to check it down, and Kellen Moore's always going to scheme around that. Zeke, on the other hand, he's kind of a one-trick pony where, you know, he'll get the occasional screen or get the occasional 8-yard run, but where he really makes most of his value is in the red zone. And in terms of the defense he's coming against, the 49ers are ranked 2nd overall against the running back position as a whole. So Christian McCaffrey, he's definitely the running back you want to go to. Do I see Elijah Mitchell being somebody who can come into this game like he did last week that I called, where he scored a touchdown? Did you cash in on that? No, I did. Anyways, do I see him coming into this matchup and producing and making some sort of noise and saving your DFS lineup? I don't see it. It's the divisional round. You need your studs, not your duds. I'm not saying Elijah Mitchell's a dud, but everybody in comparison to CMC is a freaking dud. This guy is a beast. He's phenomenal. The fact that he's going to be implemented in not only the run game behind a lead block of George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk and Trent Williams, he's going to catch the ball more than almost any other receiver on the entire night. Since I mentioned Kyle Juszczyk, maybe anytime touchdown this game. Both of these defenses coming into this matchup have really good and really solid pass rushes. But if the pass rush doesn't get home, the DBs get exposed. Both of these defenses are actually bottom 4 in the league when it comes to fantasy points allowed to the opposing wide receivers. So we got to go back to that whole conversation about QBs, who's going to take care of the ball, who's going to get sacked more, who's going to make dumb plays, so on and so forth. That debate, compared with the debate with who's going to do more with the ball and who's going to have more opportunity, should make your decision actually really easy in this battle. Deebo Samuel's Mr. Do-It-All. He'll run the ball, take bubble screens, go for touchdowns. You saw it last year in the same matchup. He'll beat you on a fly and I'll go route. And I think it's so weird saying this being a former offensive lineman myself, I like the 49ers offensive line more than I like the Cowboys offensive line. They're just old now. They're no longer great. They're old, but neither here nor there. Expect Deebo to get involved early and often. I don't think any of these guys are a terrible option. They're all projected to do relatively well. But if you're trying to find that diamond in the rough, that guy who's going to stand out and break out and be worth the expense, and he's not even that expensive, Deebo Samuel's a guy you kind of have to go with him. Guy you don't have to go with is Mr. Expensive himself, the most expensive tight end on the entire slate. That's George Kittle. Both of these defenses are really good at defending the tight end position. Teams don't really get to check down the ball a lot. And since they don't get to check down the ball a lot, they're either throwing a pick or getting sacked. With that being said, though George Kittle is the most impressive talent on paper at this entire position, if I had to pick between both of these guys, I would be leaning more towards Dalton Schultz simply because the Cowboys are going to have to throw, and they're going to have to throw often. And if Gallup is going to get open, that's one thing. If CeeDee Lamb is going to get double teamed, they need that third guy to come in and make a play. And really, Schultz the entire season has shown, well, not early on, but most of the season, he's shown that he's actually Dak's number 2. So just based on volume and opportunity alone, Dalton Schultz is the best tight end play on this entire Sunday slate. It's weird. The Saturday slate, you wanted every tight end in your lineup. The Sunday slate, you want nothing to do with them, but you have to play one. And I highly recommend that you only play one. Mr. Dalton Schultz, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, you got your pivot options, your tertiary options. Do I love these guys? Not really, but for DFS purposes, I definitely don't love them. Kyle Juszczyk, as I said, like I have an affinity for him. I have a love for him simply because, he will get into the end zone every now and then in a playoff game. And I like that. And I like the prop and I like the odds. And I'm taking it again. You can too, if you'd like to. Still not sponsored by a sportsbook. Anyways, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this NFL divisional round playoff breakdown on OwnersBox DFS. Like, subscribe, please turn on the bell notifications. We'll see you guys next week. All right.